we are going to talk about the movement to legalize marijuana here in Washington, D.C. It's a topic we've talked a lot about here, with covering what's been going on in Colorado and Washington State. And what are you looking to have happen here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, we want to use our ballot initiative laws to put a question to the voters. Should people be able to possess minimal amounts of marijuana for personal use without fear of arrest, having their houses raided, or even having the marijuana seized from them? So we're saying that under 2 ounces of marijuana or up to 3 mature plants in your home should not even be a government concern whatsoever. No taxes, nothing. You have the right to that. And we'd like to put tax and regulate similar to Colorado and Washington State on the ballot. We just can't do that here.
Why not?
Well, we have a sort of a rule that we can't legislate spending, and that can only be done by the city council and the mayor and Congress, really. So what we can do is we can put a question about is something legal or not, and then we would ultimately go back to the city council and say, see, the voters said yes, they want to legalize. Let's put a comprehensive a law together. But in the meantime, the arrests would stop, people's homes wouldn't be raided. And we just passed decriminalization of marijuana here. People should not confuse the two. They're different. And under decrim, people will still be ticketed. People will still be arrested even for smoking in public. If you have less than an ounce, you would just get a ticket and you'd have your marijuana seized. That seems like second-class status. That's like don't ask, don't tell for cannabis users. All right, it's a step forward, but it's really not where we want to be. We want to be a place in a society where we're treated equally, we're not discriminated against. And a few years ago, I would use this terminology of discrimination. This is a civil rights issue. We're targeting minorities 8-1 over whites, or being arrested, even though whites use more marijuana than blacks. This is a civil rights issue. I kept saying that, and people said it's not a civil rights issue, and people would yell at me like, "You stop saying that. You're degrading our civil rights heritage by saying that marijuana is a civil rights issue." But there is no issue that 700,000 people a year are being locked up for that it doesn't harm anyone, except and really even the user, I would argue, is not being harmed by their use as long as you're not abusing it. So this is a civil rights issue. People aren't going to jail for their access to abortion. People aren't going to jail because they want to have they aren't getting the right to vote. Okay, they're not being locked up because they're organizing for voter access, ballot access. No one's being arrested for that, but people are being arrested left and right for marijuana. It's about 50% of the arrests in this city right now are marijuana arrests.
I'm curious to know what kind of response you're getting from politicians here in the district, because I think it used to be a politically deadly topic for a politician to come close to, and now it's one that I think a lot of politicians are finding is not quite as deadly as it used to be.
The simple answer is polls. We took a poll last April, and it came out, and we found that 63% of district residents want to legalize marijuana like Colorado and Washington. 63%. I mean, we're pushing 2/3 of the public, and yet the politicians continue to push a law that originally was written by Klan members. Okay, the original marijuana laws in this country in 1936-37, when they were being pushed, were all being pushed by the Ku Klux Klan, and it was right after alcohol prohibition ended, and the police were looking for something to do. And they thought, how can we oppress minorities that we were already oppressing? We can do it through marijuana. So these are racist laws. And we've been calling them that. And politicians will look at you like, don't call me what I support a racist law, And it's an African-American politician saying that to you. Well, you know what? And then change the law. I'm a white guy, and I can look at you right in the eye. I don't care if you're African-American. I don't care if you're Native American. I don't care what your race is. These are racist laws because they are applied 8 times more likely to target minorities. We can't even have this law without it being misapplied. So it's time to get rid of the law altogether. But then look at the science. There's no one has ever died from marijuana. No one has ever showed up in an emergency room and overdosed like on heroin or alcohol. That's never happened. We have to look at the science. And I think finally, with the polls going in our favor, with the science always, actually showing it's not a dangerous substance, with the president having the courage to stand up to his own Department of Justice, and just last week, the Department of Health and Human Services signed off on medical marijuana research for the first time to develop botanical drugs, not synthetics, but actual drugs from the plant itself. That's never happened before. In 22 years, this group called the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, they have been seeking permission to get some of this cannabis that the United States government grows down at the University of Mississippi to research various things. And this is a PTSD study, see if it helps people sleep. They just got this approved after 22 years of asking.
Wow.
And I look at the White House and I say, they're making a political calculation. It's time to change this. The Democrats don't want to be caught off guard. They want to be the legalization party, not the Republicans. You've got a legalization candidate potentially going to be the Republican nominee with Rand Paul. And, I think Democrats are making a calculation. Now it's time to act before we lose this issue.
Well, I mean, politically, there does seem to be a major shift. A lot of people have pointed out it mirrors gay marriage or marriage equality on this. What do you think because it's happened rapidly, like marriage equality, what has been kind of the tipping point? Why is this accelerating right now?
Well, maybe there's a demographic shift going on with the baby boomers. They're aging. A lot of them are dying. I don't want to be, my parents are getting up there in age, and they're boomers. I've argued with my mother and father for years that marijuana should be legal. I don't get their support on this until this year. This is the first year. And so I'm hearing from boomers in Florida that are retired that, maybe we should legalize. And also there will be a medical marijuana on the ballot in Florida this year. And it was put there by a millionaire Democratic donor who has never cared about the issue before, but now realizes it will bring out young voters, and that will help the up-ballot candidates running for governor and Congress in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, that's happening.
Can you explain a little bit of the difference between decriminalization and legalization, and like where people might be a little cloudy on that? Because you hear a lot about both these days.
Well, our group in D.C. has been fighting for legalization from day one. We think that's the only comprehensive solution. One of the city council members here said she was against decriminalization of marijuana because that's a little different, saying that it's like saying you're decriminalizing murder. Murder can't be both legal and illegal. It's either legal or it's illegal. So she's saying decriminalization sends an unclear message. Is it legal or is it illegal? Well, civilly, it's illegal. Okay? If you can get a ticket under decriminalization, it says, I'm taking your marijuana, you're getting a $100 ticket or $25 ticket, and you pay that ticket, and you never go to court, you never have due process. That's it. That's decriminalization. Legalization is people are licensed to sell it. People have a right to grow a small amount. People have a right to possess a certain amount before it's considered too much. I mean, we never go into people's houses and actually count how many wine bottles there are, do we?
Right. But that's, I do. I'm a really unpleasant dinner guest.
Yeah, Jonathan does. That's true.
We want to treat marijuana like alcohol. So if you can have unlimited amounts of wine in your house or unlimited amounts of liquor in your house, even with children around, you're allowed to do that. Then why can't you have unlimited amounts of marijuana in your house? It's someone might break into your house to steal the alcohol. Someone might break into your house to steal your jewelry, and someone might break into your house to steal your marijuana. But that's not a reason to make it illegal.
But there are folks who say that there is a difference between alcohol and marijuana in terms of what it leads to, that it's a gateway drug, that it's an access point. How do you respond to that?
I think the real gateway drug is alcohol. I think it is shown time and time again that alcohol is highly addictive, that people who begin with alcohol are more likely to use other substances. I think marijuana is actually a substance for abandoning certain addictions. I know people that use marijuana daily who were heroin addicts who couldn't get off heroin until they started using marijuana. And marijuana ostensibly is a lot safer than heroin. I mean, 1,000 times safer.
That's not a very high bar to clear.
Well, I think, but no, heroin's a real problem in our society. It's actually growing. It somehow has been picked. It's been getting popular in our high schools, even in this area. There's been we've had a wave of overdoses, and there was one Virginia high school had 22 overdoses. Heroin is dangerous. If you right now, the same person who sells heroin also sells marijuana, because it's all in the underground economy. Take marijuana out.
You have to diversify.
Take it out. Take it away from the black market. You take away 90% of the illicit drug market's business is marijuana. 90%. Take it away from them. Let those same people who maybe, even if they have criminal records, I say license them, train them, and let them sell marijuana in designated places in the city, and in shops, like in Amsterdam, like coffee shops. keep marijuana and alcohol separate, so that if you want to sell alcohol, okay, you can sell alcohol. But as soon as you mix the two, you get this compounding effect, and you get really effed up people. I won't say it on the air, but you get people that are going to be falling down, and they wonder, wow, he smoked some pot, he drank some alcohol, and now he's a mess. They should be separate. That's what Holland did. We should look at Holland. They have lower use of marijuana among teenagers than we do, and they have legal marijuana.
Legal, right.
Is it legal or decriminalized there? I actually don't know.
You're correct. It's decriminalized. So a lot of people think of it as legal because it feels like it's legal. You can go into a store, you can buy it. But there are these weird rules that technically make it decriminalized. They'll tolerate up to 2 kilograms of cannabis in a facility.
I don't know the metric system. What is
it's like pounds. It's like 4 pounds. So they'll tolerate a lot of cannabis on site, and they'll tolerate a lot of selling of cannabis, so much so that you can have a whole business. But as soon as you have more than the 2 kilograms, all right, you're in criminal amounts. And what they usually do is they seize everything, they fine you tens of thousands of dollars, and then the person just goes back and buys all their property back and gets back in business. That's how it works in Amsterdam. It's kind of silly.
So that sort of seems to be an argument for decriminalization over legalization.
You could say that, but that's like a super decrim, and what we got in DC is the most restricted decrim. I think it's not really going to protect people. People will still be arrested.